Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adele Taylor with the Garden State Film Festival. And today I am joined by two very cool people. We're going to have lots of fun. They both come from the film called Static Space. We have John Klein, co-director. And then we also have Kate Black-Spence, who is also the co-director, but she is the writer. She is the lead actress. Kate, I'm not sure there's anything you can't do, but we can definitely find out on this call. So
Thank
thank you
you.
both for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks. This is awesome.
Well, can you just tell us a little bit about the film? How did this get started? What was the inspiration like?
Go ahead.
Uh,
You start, Kate.
yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, inspiration on this one. I mean, I had just started writing. I just wrote my first play right before COVID hit. So we actually had that up on stage in February of 2020. And so then COVID hit, and I felt like I had just developed this new momentum and I wasn't sure what to do. And the isolation started getting to me. A friend of mine read Ghosts of Whitechapel. His name is John Cannon. He wrote a book called Can You Hear Me that he had sent me maybe a year before that. And he told me if I ever wanted to adapt his book into a play that I could. So the
Good friend.
yes, an excellent person to know. I don't think he necessarily thought I would take him up on it, but here we are. So the book was wonderful. It had stayed in my mind because it dealt so much with isolation
Mm,
and in a very different way, right? It's, you know, a woman in Indiana and a very quiet life, and a woman in a space shuttle and a very quiet life. So it occurred to me that I wanted to adapt that. I did. John Klein is someone I've worked with several times on films. He asked to read it, and then he told me I'd be crazy not to adapt it to a short film that we could shoot during COVID, which the idea of that was really exciting. So I wrote the short film with an eye on COVID, isolation, safety protocols. The actors never had to be more than 6 feet in proximity, which I thought was really helpful. And
definitely.
John was very helpful from there, just helping me all the way, having never directed before, and he gave me a lot of confidence.
Well,
And
John, you
that,
seem to be the person to know.
well, no, I mean, it's funny. I feel like I came in and sort of rode the wave a little bit because
Mm,
Kate and I, again, like Kate said we had worked together. She as an actress and I as either a director or a cinematographer on several projects. And when I got to read Static Space, the play, which was written to be COVID safe, even
awesome.
on stage, so like
Okay.
both people inhabit separate parts of the stage, they don't interact. There was a sense of like this is something that's doable, something that's producible, and both of us, you know, being very artistic, creative-minded people, and also during COVID, not being able to flex those muscles in the way we typically
Mm,
do, it was important for us to just let's make something. Let's do
Yeah.
something that we feel like has meaning for us. And I feel like this was sort of a zeitgeist grabbing thing, but it was something that meant something to us because of what the characters were going through. We felt like we had this emotional tether to the material that I think comes across in the movie. Like it feels like, I don't know that if we had made this movie at a different point in our lives,
mhm.
that it would have had the same like emotional impact for us and would have come across the same way. But I think it just is sort of it's part of the fabric of the movie because of that.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, I think I've done quite a lot of interviews at this point, especially with other filmmakers, but I have never heard of people saying that I was able to have my film come to fruition because it was a COVID friendly way. That's such a unique experience. So, yeah, I mean, first of all, kudos to you guys for being able to pull this off during a pandemic to still keep it safe for your cast and your crew. That's absolutely amazing. When you think about the time we're in now versus the time that we were in when you were filming this, what's the biggest difference, or what do you hope that people get out of it now that we're starting to move in, hopefully, fingers crossed, a better, more safe direction?
I mean, I would say the story still rings true. It's certainly not like a COVID pandemic isolation in this movie that is very time specific. The idea that we've all been isolating ourselves well before pandemic with screens or just, really living on autopilot and choosing not to engage with strangers and not to have these potentially life-changing conversations that can happen when you just put yourself out there. And I feel like moving forward, hopefully, as pandemic subsides, I still think there's a lot of story here that is still very universal. And it's a reminder that there's such power in human connection, and there's really nothing like it. And that's not something that we can really achieve through screens. It's just the power of being listened to and listening to others and being vulnerable and all of the amazing things that can come from that.
Yeah, I'll second that. I feel like it's funny because like, we talk about it in the context of COVID, but it's not like Kate said, it's not a COVID movie. For me, like the thing that resonated with me initially in reading the script was, oh, these are the conversations I had with my wife when we were first starting to fall in love with one another over long distance. Like that's the type of thing where I feel like people who watch this movie, they don't connect with it, or they may connect with it because of the isolation that we've all sort of felt during this time. But I think they also connect with it because it's a love story. It's a human connection story. It's about these fully realized people who are trying to understand themselves better. And sometimes the way you understand yourself better is through the eyes and ears of someone else. And so I feel like that's where this movie succeeds. I hope it succeeds for people, is in giving them a window into that.
Wow. Okay. Well, I just have to say, if you guys don't want to go into film, you can definitely partner with Hallmark, because I'm ready to have Waterworks over here. It's Valentine's Day weekend. You're having beautiful words. I love
It's a
the
good Valentine's. It's a good
inspiration.
Valentine's Day movie. Absolutely.
I'm just saying, just in case you want to switch things up later down the road, Hallmark, I think, is your calling, and just making beautiful, beautiful words to articulate for the rest of us. Now, John, I am not going to exclude you, but I have to ask, and then I'm going to come back to you. Kate, you are co-director, you're writer, you're lead actress. I mean, first of all, wow. What was it like for you to have all of these different titles and roles and responsibilities while creating this film?
It was certainly more than I expected to take on from the start. When I wrote this, I'm originally an actor, right? I've been in Chicago for 15 years as a professional actor. I have done a little bit of film, never anything that I've been responsible for. I just show up. But but so it's sort of my way into writing, is understanding all of the actors, all of the characters, all of their dynamics coming into it. And it's sort of what made this project so easy, as I understood everyone's perspective. So I was able to write it, and then when John read it and loved it, he's like, "You should consider directing this." I was like, "I think that's a bit much. Like, I don't."
A little bit.
Having never
Way to
written a
set the
film,
bar high, John.
right? I was like, having never written a film, and also like having an eye on maybe playing a part in this thing, like maybe that's enough. And John was really the one that was encouraging me. He's like, "You have a really clear idea of what you want." He's like, "I'll stand right next to you the whole time." And he really helped me. And it turns out I really like directing now too. So I would encourage anyone with one hat in the arts to consider throwing on an extra hat just to see what it's like. It's really empowering. And especially as a woman in this industry, I've gotten so bored of playing the same parts. And I think a lot of women have. And so it was really nice to just be able to be a strong, complicated woman without having to explain some sort of tortured history as to what has brought her here and her sexuality. I'd like to see more of that. And it was exciting to be able to write it and to see it resonate with people.
Wow. And so, John, what was it like to kind of hand over the reins in a sense, and be a co-director instead of the one directing every single thing and having all that responsibility shared?
Well, I think there's a couple of things to it. As one is, I think collaboration is a really freeing thing. I think that there's an aspect of getting to funnel your ideas through another person and vice versa, where you make each other's ideas better in that way. And Kate and I were always in constant sort of conversation and communication with each other, making sure we're on the same page. Hey, this is what we're going to do here. Emotionally, this is what's happening here. And because Kate was in front of the camera as well, there was a lot of trust she was putting in me being behind the camera. And it's funny because I'm chiefly a cinematographer. I do direct, but I'm more of a cinematographer, and Kate's known me as that in a lot of capacities. And so having to sort of wear multiple hats, I feel like is just part of the indie landscape. But for me, it was, okay, well, I can't do all of the things. So I'm going to focus as much on the technical and the cinematography aspects as I can. And I'm going to trust Kate because Kate knows this character. She knows this script. She knows creatively where this story needs to go. And we're just going to play off of each other and make sure that the other person always kind of knows where the other shoe is dropping. And we had a great crew. I mean, we had a crew that was very diverse, very, very female. Like, we had a lot of people behind the scenes who were, not a lot of people because it was COVID. So it was really only like 6 of us.
Just a little bit.
But we were all sort of in it together. All of us were wearing multiple hats. Like Maggie was our production designer, was also wardrobe, and was also like having to do all of the things in that regard. And you know, I was the cinematographer, but I was also the first AD, and I was also the camera operator, one of them. And Bill was my co-DP and camera operator, and Matt was doing sound. But in doing sound, he was having to focus not just on our sound, but on Mariah's sound, who plays Noah, because we were pumping her into set while we were recording the radio scenes. So juggling that on Zoom, and it was like the things that we all had to do. Like, we couldn't have done that if Kate was just this and I was just this. We all had to kind of pull 2 or 3 times our weight and rely on each other and trust each other that we could do that.
I'm really glad that you pointed that out too, John. I also want to throw in there that like everyone in the cast and crew was isolated together in this campus that we were staying on, where we were also, our set was located here, there were cabins over here. So our rule was that we couldn't leave once we came. And I really thought that was going to restrict who would be willing to participate in this project. And I mean, the 6 people that we had were incredible. There was understanding, there was trust, there was, you know, we had our COVID officer who still took temperatures and also monitored our distance at all times. But being able to like just really like buckle down, live with one another. And John and I would spend all of our meal times sitting at separate picnic tables across from each other, being like looking over the script and being like, okay, we need to get this shot next and this shot next. And I'd be just changing the script on the fly on him. And I'm like, I don't think we need this shot anymore. Let's just cut the scene. I don't think it's necessary. You know, trying to keep an eye on time because we only had 3 days.
Wow.
It was it was honestly, it was a once in a lifetime experience. I hope.
Gosh. I gotta say, I'm kind of jealous now that I was not there. I mean, it sounds like a ton of work, but also it sounded like you guys had lots of fun. You got to learn about yourselves and each other more. So yes, I'm jealous. I'm officially jealous. It's okay though. It's okay.
Next time, if there is a next time.
Call me up, okay? I can do something. I will figure it out. I don't know, run Starbucks, whatever it is. I'll help out.
Well, and next time with vaccines, it'll be so much easier.
Yeah. Wow.
No more cabins.
Right.
So you both have a very unique perspective in that you have already said that this film really pushed you to try different things. I mean, really take you out of your element. For the young filmmakers out there who might be watching this, what is something that you want them to know as they are getting their craft together or even exploring a different craft in this filmmaker industry?
John, as a teacher, I'm going to let you take that one first.
Okay, fine. Well, I could say sort of the obvious, like write what you have, write what you know, and those things. But like, I feel like for me, the thing that comes to mind actually is just empathy, which is kind of a weird, like philosophical way of approaching it. But I feel like we approached this movie with a sense of wanting to take care of everybody who was involved in it, and wanting to make a film that was about that in some way. And so I think like when I say like having empathy, it means like as a writer, you need to have empathy for your characters. You need to put yourselves in their shoes and understand what they're going through and try to figure out how these people can improve in some way. You know, and you, as a crew person, as a director, or as a cinematographer, as a production designer, or as an actor, you you have to look at everyone around you and sort of think, what do they need? What do they need from me? And what do I need from them? And that's part of, again, that magic of collaboration, is just getting people in a room and saying, okay, I trust you. I can see what you need. Let's figure out a way to make this work together, rather than kind of clashing with one another through that process. So I think, like, for young filmmakers, I think the important thing to keep in mind is that it's about all of us. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes filmmaking such a powerful medium.
I love that team effort. Kate, do you have any other hallmark wisdom words to share with us?
Never as well as John. Never. I write because I can take my time and find the words.
I'm the same.
I'm just winging it, guys. I'm just winging it.
I would say, I think the one thing I would say is my therapist. She always says, like, hold life like this, don't hold it like this. I think if you have this idea of, like, I have to be a successful actor, so I can only act, otherwise people will think that I'm a failure. It looks like I can't do well enough as an actor. It doesn't even have to just be acting. It can be directing or writing or producing, whatever it is. Like, try not to hold it like this. Hold it like this. See what else falls into place. And don't ever let imposter syndrome stand in your way. We all have imposter syndrome. If I had listened to mine, I would have said, no, I'm not writing a film. I don't know how to do it. And, John was very patient. The first script that I wrote for this, the short, was like 50 pages. And I was like, I think it's like 20 pages from done. And he was like, so... we need to edit. You don't know what you don't know until you work with people who do, and really lean into collaboration. It's everything.
Wow. Snaps. That's all I have to say after words of wisdom. I feel like I can now go and run a marathon. I'm not going to, but from your words, I want you to know that's how I feel. And I'm sure people that are watching appreciate it as well. And for those of you who are attending the New Jersey Garden State Film Festival and you want to know where you can watch this amazing film, you can catch Static Space on Sunday, March 27th from 2:15 to 4:45 p.m. at the Asbury Hotel. John, Kate, are we going to see you there?
I can't, because I'll be teaching, and Kate will be doing other things as well.
I'm like 40 weeks pregnant, so I'm...
Congratulations!
Thank you. I told John, I was like, it's like 50-50 that I'll be at this interview. Like, we're just going to see. So I won't be able to attend. I'm very disappointed. I'd love to be there.
Well, we are glad to have had you nonetheless. And I know everyone will definitely be excited to see this film after the interview. So thank you two so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thanks so much.